Hi, welcome back. This is Heather Hope with Conscious Creating with Heather Hope. Welcome back, guys. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for the wonderful feedback of our last video. Okay, so today I just wrote a post on my page. If you're not following me, I think you should. I want to say I'm more of a writer because I've always been writing. So follow me on Heather Hope Read on my business page on Facebook. I post a lot of kind of short messages over there, and it's in the moment inspiration. Like all of my posts they're never scheduled. They're always in the moment, no matter where I am. If I'm out shopping, no matter what, I just post. So there's days that I'll post like 10 things, and then I won't post for 4 or 5 days sometimes. So anyway, so I just wrote this post because I'm really drilling in the all of this manifestation. So yeah, I've been teaching this for a long, long time, but it's like, you know how you like hone in on a skill and you want to make sure you're doing that skill like the most efficiently. That's like my quest in life, I think. It's just seriously the most efficient way to manifest. Like, what is this all about, right? So, especially coming from law of attraction, my last video talking about Abraham and Neville and all of this, there's many things of that from the Abraham teachings. I got stuck, and I didn't know I was stuck until I kind of stopped listening to them as much. Like I really don't as much. And that is so odd for me to even think about because I was pretty obsessed with them. So, so I've been kind of frustrated when I learn something. I'm like, oh my God, that's literally what I've been doing for the past 3 years. And last night I was sitting on the couch and I look at my husband. I'm like, this is literally what I've been doing. And it's like, what has hindered? So anyway, I have a lot to talk about today. So I think I'm going to do several videos. So I'm so excited about that. Okay, but I wanted to get this particular thing out right now. So I wrote this post about, and I'm giving credit to, it's Neville's stuff, but it's from Joseph Ally on his YouTube channel, Divine Imagination with Joseph Ally. And I've been loving his content lately because he's tested this out so much that I implemented one of his things that I'm going to do another video on. And just this morning, and I've manifested a few things on the list already. And I'm like, oh, this is so much easier than I ever made it out to be. Okay. So this is creating an imaginal scene. So if you follow Neville, which most people do, I was like the last, I swear, in line to listen to Neville. How Neville talks about creating an imaginal scene. And so what you do is you create this imaginal scene of the end result of what you want to create. So it'd be, he said, like a little bit after that creation. So if something came in, so let's say manifesting a SP, right? Which I'll eventually talk about more later on. I don't want to get into that subject right away for different reasons, but I do absolutely want to touch on that subject big time because I changed my views 180%, and that's not even a number. So anyway, from what I used to stand by. So it's powerful stuff, manifesting an SP. So if you wanted to manifest an SP, which means specific person. So if you want to marry someone, then you may create the imaginal scene at the end result is being married, right? So you could think of it as like the scene, it's only like 30 seconds or less, nothing too elaborate, maybe just a few seconds. So you imagine yourself with like a wedding ring on, and you imagine your husband, say you're a female, your husband's hand with his wedding ring on, and maybe you're holding hands. You picture whatever the picture is, right? And you just picture that scene. So that's your imaginal scene, the end result of what you want. So you picture you and your SP, whoever that is, with wedding rings on, and you're smiling and you're so happy and that sort of thing, right? So you imagine that. So you close your eyes, you relax, or you can keep your eyes open and you imagine that scene. Okay. Then you're done. And kind of just let it go. Move on with your day, that sort of thing. Now, the example that I just heard Joseph talk about, and I've listened to dozens of Manifesting SPs videos lately because the subject fascinates me because it's so opposite of what I was thinking in the past. And what I prescribed to in the past was like, why would you want, like, say you wanted to manifest an ex back? And I sat here just adamantly saying, why the hell would you want your ex back? They're an ex for a reason, all that logical stuff, right? But then I started realizing, after I realized this whole SP community and realized what Abraham was actually saying was, you can have anything you want right now, currently where you are. So if you have a person in your life and you can manifest everything with them, like you can manifest the version of them that you want. It's like craziness. So anyhow, so let's say you do this imaginal scene being married to this person, say it's a guy, that let's say you just don't have much contact with. Just maybe it is an ex or it's whoever. And so Joseph says, okay, then say the next day or so, whenever that is, this person text messages you. Say, hey, how's it going? I was thinking about you. He's telling us, or they call you and they're like, hey, and it's just a friendly conversation, nothing romantic, right? Because it's just this first call or first message. He's like, a lot of people would be like, what? There was nothing romantic there. You didn't ask me out, blah, blah, blah. But Joseph's like, but he called you. And he said, if you did that imaginal act, and after the imaginal act, whatever time period it is, doesn't matter. if you received contact from that person, he's like, it's a done deal. It's a done deal. We started the bridge of instance. Because it has to naturally unfold. This relationship has to naturally unfold. So this person that you're manifesting got the idea to message you. And that's the start. And so he's like, you can just know right now that it's a done deal. It's going to lead to your imaginal scene 100%. And I'm like, holy hell, what? Because I've never heard anybody break it down so simply. And so like, yes, it's a done deal. So what we do as humans a lot of times is, like what he said, we jump to these conclusions of like, oh my God, it was just this, it was just that. You didn't ask me out. All that good stuff, right? Or bad stuff. And so we interfere with it. We react. So the way to be in that moment is like, it's happening, it's done. And stay in that imaginal end scene of being married to this person. You just stay in that scene along the way until it happens, until it manifests. So when we talk about persisting until it hardens into truth or hardens into fact. That's Neville. So you persist in the end result that you want until it manifests, until it becomes 3D reality. And you just don't mess with the middle, right? You don't mess with all the stuff in the middle of like, oh my gosh, imagine all these romantic things, which you can, but just allow it to unfold. Like sometimes, people want to manifest in steps with SPs and like, oh, now we talk all the time and now we do this and now we do that. And you could just let it unfold. You could. And I love Dylan James for this of like, just live your life. Just go live your life. Like live the fullest life you can live while your SP is on the way. And I was like, oh my God, what a brilliant idea, right? Because I'm all into this manifestation stuff and all the other stuff I'm doing. But like, it's like, oh, thank you for the reminder that sometimes I have to be reminded that just go enjoy your life, literally go enjoy. And when I go and do that, it's like, oh my gosh, life is awesome. And things just come in. But so don't react to if you're like, because if people are like, oh my God, we're not married yet, and it's like, well, don't react to that. Just continue in the imaginal scene in your mind. That's all that matters, is that scene of the end result of what you want. So if something negative happens, like you get a text message that this person's mad at you, or something that's opposite, what you don't want to do is react. And that's what we do all the time, constantly. We're taught to react. So the key to get to what you want is stop reacting to the things you don't want and just continue in the imaginal scene in your mind with what you do want. Now, we talk about that all the time, about where you put your focus, right? Wherever you put your focus is what you're going to get. So if you focus on negativity, if you focus on things not working out, if you focus on the lack, if you look at your phone every 5 minutes and you're like, he hasn't texted, that's just focusing on lack, and you get more of that, right? It's all the same stuff, right? It's just different words, different, but sometimes you just have to hear it in the right words. Each one of us, we all have all of these filters going on, and I have to hear it. Like, I was hearing it through Abraham for years, and it's like, I was stuck on so many things and I didn't realize it until I'm like, I've manifested quite a few things, but honestly, not as much as what I've seen other people manifest. And I'm like, holy hell, like, I've manifested really big things, but there's a lot of other little things, or not even little, like, right? There's no size. But I realize how much more, like, constant people have manifested, constant things. And I'm like, oh, there's so much I got stuck on. And maybe you have too. And a lot of people are in this boat of like, I just don't understand why things are not happening. And I think one of the two big things that I've said just on this episode of, we react to the things we don't want. We react, we get mad, we get frustrated, we get sad, we get all of these things, we get depressed because the manifestation isn't happening. And then it continues not to happen. And we're like, what the hell is going on, right? The other thing is, we don't create this imaginal end scene, this end result, living it from the end, right? All of this. And we don't stick with it. We think of all these other alternative endings, right? That's what we do. If you think of a DVD at the end of it, right? Or in the other extra whatever bonus stuff, it's like alternative endings. How many alternative endings do you think that we all have on so many subjects? Like, oh, it could just not happen at all. Or it could go the other way. Or, all these things. That's what we're doing. We're creating all these alternate endings with our imagination, with coming from the feeling of defeat, which is from reacting to the 3D not happening the way we want it to, right? It's just all these crazy things that we do. So your manifestation will show up if you just keep focusing on the end result. It will show up. And it'll show up fast. That's the thing. It's through the path of least resistance. If we stay the hell out of the middle, if we stay out of like, how is it going to happen, or the imaginal things that we think about of how it could happen, or, because Joseph was like, if you create all these imaginative, all these ideas of how it could happen with some, if you have some vivid ideas about it, which I do a lot of times with things, because I feel like I'm just helping the process. Maybe I'm not helping the process. Maybe I'm hindering things from coming in because I've got all these ideas. And I don't sit here thinking of how things are going to happen, but I do have some, my imagination is a little active sometimes. Or, just having fun with imagination is how I see it. But maybe having that fun of imagination is hindering my manifestation from coming in. Because I've done it a lot over the years. And there's things on my list that I'm still focused on after years of focusing on them. And I'm like, So I'm focusing on the end result. The end imaginal scene of what I want. I focus on the same story every day. I have it written down and I read it. And I read it every day, at least a couple times a day. at least a couple times a day. And I think about it, and I've got it down to like numbers, like, I've got, um, I've got 4 houses and 4 cars and 2 jets. And, there's all these things. Like, I know what they all are pretty much, and where these houses are and what these cars are and stuff. But I keep repeating these things. I've got these, like yesterday. So one of the first cars I always say that I have is a red Tesla. It's a 2019 red Tesla Model S. It's the model that I like, or it's the year that I like. And so I went down to go look at some houses down in Paradise Valley where I'm headed. And as soon as I hit Scottsdale, I saw so many Teslas. Now, Scottsdale is really big on Tesla, but I don't know if I've seen this many Teslas in one day in my life. All throughout Scottsdale, of course, Paradise Valley, Phoenix, it was just Tesla, 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 Tesla all day long. Everywhere I looked, there was Teslas. And I'm like, and I took it as that sign, just like what Joseph said, it's coming, like birds before land, right? It's coming. It's coming. And I decided when I saw them, I'm like, oh, it's coming. There was a black Tesla Model S. Oh, I'm sorry. They were like 90% of them were Model S's. So I was just like, they're all like my car. They're all different colors too, but I specifically want a particular one. There was a black Model S who drove past me on the freeway, and it was the right year because it had the silver trim. It didn't have tinted windows. So it was all black and didn't have tinted windows. And so it drove past me, and I thought, oh my gosh, it needs tinted windows. I like, of course, Phoenix, right? It needs tinted windows. I'm not kidding when 3 minutes later, another black Tesla with the silver trim Model S drove by with tinted windows. And I'm like, because I don't see black Teslas that often. I really don't at all. It's rare. And then when I see one, I'm like, oh, wow, that's pretty slick looking, because I don't see them that often. So I saw 2 in a row, and I'm like, oh, you're kidding me. What the heck? So it was really cool. It's just power of our manifestation, power of our mind, power of our focus, power of our words. Like, we get everything we want. So, so that was just one thing. But so even all the way the drive home, I kept seeing Teslas. So it wasn't just Scottsdale, it was just constant Teslas. So I was just like, so I came home later on, I told my husband, I'm like, oh, you know what's on the way? So I declared it was on the way. It's being delivered at any time, right? It's just going to be delivered. So I told my husband, I'm like, oh, you know what's on the way? And he goes, what? I said, my Tesla. He's like, oh, okay. So then last night I felt kind of inspired to check on Tesla's used inventory. And the last time I checked, which was a few weeks ago, because I don't really look that often, because I just go by inspired action, inspired thoughts, and I look at the inventory, the specifications I'm basically looking for, and there's one in Scottsdale. And the last time I checked, the closest one was like 2,000 miles away. Like, they were all that far, at least. And I'm like, wow, it's going to take a few weeks or a couple weeks to get here if I had ordered it. And so to see one in Scottsdale ready to go, I was like, oh, wow, I think my Tesla's here. So I'm just going with that. My Tesla is here. And, I have said before that anytime I'm driving, a lot of times when I drive, I think about which car do I have right now? Which car am I driving? Of the inventory of my cars, what car am I driving right now? So I think about it, like, depending on where I'm going. If it's far, then I would take the Tesla. If I wanted to bring Gizmo, my dog, I would take the Tesla so I can leave him in the car, put it on dog mode. That's a huge reason why I'm getting a Tesla. Other than driving a lot and really loving the car anyway, but driving a lot, and I think it would be a great car to have, one of 4 that I have. And then there's another car that I want, and it's really really showy. And I don't usually go for showy cars, but as soon as I saw this car last year, I was like, oh my God, I want it. And I knew I've always wanted a Bentley. Like, I've wanted a Bentley coupe for a couple years now. I went and test drove one a couple years ago, a used one, and I was okay with the used. That's fine. But I saw a video of a blue sequin, brand new Bentley coupe, this bright, shiny blue. I am not a blue person at all. Like, I don't have anything in my house that's blue. Like, maybe turquoise. Like, I'm not a blue person, right? At all. I don't have anything in blue. And I've never wanted a blue car in my life. I've always had teal if I have that anything in that color, but I fell in love with that car. And so I always think, since I live in a small town, and it's not really a car that I would want to be seen driving around. I live in a tiny town. It would just be so showy. Now, maybe at night, and maybe, dark tinted windows, and so nobody knows who I am, but it's one of those cars that it fits right in Paradise Valley. So I would drive it down there. So if weekends when I'm down there, working as a realtor, I would drive it. Or when I live down in Paradise Valley, I'll drive it because it fits right in. So does the Tesla. So does the Cayenne, the Porsche Cayenne. So anyhow, so I always think these things of like, what car am I driving right now? Anyhow. So that's enough for today. I have more videos coming because I'm going to keep recording until I have no voice left, and then I will start scheduling them out for you guys. So glad you're enjoying these. Have an amazing rest of your day, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.